Good day, Brutal Planet listeners. This is Eric Peterson, quarantining from Salt Lake City today. And today I have the honor to be joined by Todd La Torre. How you doing today, Todd?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, just, nice weather here in Florida. I know people up north are fighting through snow and all that, so, none of that here. It's pretty nice out here.
Nice. And assuming the weather's nice, it's sunny out, like it always is in Florida.
Yeah, it's like in the 60s maybe, so yeah. It's really nice.
And how's the pandemic shit going on down there?
Dude, it's Florida. I call it the Wild West. I mean, bands have been touring through here. Local clubs that are open with bands playing in bars.
Wow.
Everything's open. It's pretty nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't go out and do any of that stuff, but it's almost like, nothing to see here. When you walk in the store, people, the majority do have masks on, but you still have people that walk around Home Depot with no mask and they're not forced to leave or anything. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is weird. It's weird because we've gotten to a point where we're so used to seeing masks that when you see somebody without one, you go, what the hell, man?
I know. And you know what? Sometimes you have a tickle in your throat and you go, and people, it's like
exactly.
You can't even cough without people freaking out.
Exactly. So when was the last time you played live?
Oh gosh, March. Yeah, and then the last two shows that we had were supposed to be in New Mexico and then in Texas, and we flew out to the New Mexico show, and that night we were told it's canceled. We said, well, what about the following day when we were supposed to go to Texas? That was up in the air, and then they said, no, that's canceled too. So we flew home March 13th and haven't done anything since. So we're going on almost a year.
Wow.
And this year, doesn't look too promising either.
No. So I'm just curious, before we get into things, what are you most looking forward to once we get back to some semblance of normalcy? Seeing all the guys in the band, I miss their faces. I see Casey because he lives near me. Yeah. And then Michael came down for some songwriting and stuff. But I looking forward to seeing all the guys and, doing a sound check for the first time and just playing some music again. Yeah. And I don't know, getting a paycheck. Yeah, exactly.
that would be kind of nice, So, yeah.
I've got to say, for me, I'm a little bit of a softie, but I mean, I'm looking forward to just seeing somebody again and getting a good, genuine hug.
Right? I remember when all this stuff happened, I said, I said, well, I'll be able to see my mom more because I'm not on the road. And that, kind of was the opposite because you're like, you don't want to endanger somebody. And then after so many months, 6 months, 7, whatever it was, I was at my mom's and I gave her a hug for the first time, and she was like, don't let go. And, it was a little emotional moment.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's just the human touch is very important. And, it's, I don't think we're really wired to be so isolated and not have that kind of interaction. So I certainly would agree with your point of just a real good, genuine hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally, I feel you, man.
So let's talk about your new album coming out called Rejoice in the Suffering. It's set to release a week from today.
Yeah.
And I can't
believe it's already, our little secret isn't going to be a secret anymore.
I know. That being said, it's a great title for a metal album. But I have to say, I've been doing some research on the album and before the interview, and this is a very deep album for you with some personal meaning to it, correct?
It is, yeah. Yeah, there's a few songs on there that, deal with my dad's death, and, he committed suicide back in 2014. And the first couple songs that were written were around that topic. And at first I thought, well, maybe I'll do a whole concept record about that whole topic. And then I decided not to. But they're all subjects that are important to me. And, I'm not the kind of person to write songs. I don't write fun songs like partying and girls. And, that's just not how I write. I write about serious things. And it's a very personal thing to me, and kind of everything I write is that way. But
So that being said, I feel like for me this is a great. Based on what has happened to you, it's a great way to help other people, and that's why I the only reason I ask this is because I feel like if somebody's listening to this and they are feeling somewhat of the same, we can say, no, you need to get some help.
Correct. Yeah. Sometimes I don't like to explain what they mean in the way that I wrote them.
Yeah.
Because some people, you're going to interpret it differently. Each person will, and it might mean something completely different to them. On the other hand, when I do explain, for example, the song Apology, that was, there's a lot of personal stuff in there and things that nobody will get in the lyrics that unless you were in that circle and understand some of the verbiage in there, they're not going to know what it's referencing. But if I say, look, this was just a story that I wrote, what was that last day like? It was obviously a premeditated thing.
Yeah.
And, how do you look at yourself in the mirror knowing that that's the last time you're going to look at yourself in that mirror, and it's the last time you're going to leave your house and pull out of your driveway, and it's the countdown. And if people do learn that, oh, that's about that, and maybe they're somebody in their family or a friend, committed suicide, if it provides some kind of outlet for them too, a release, a common thread, maybe, if it's therapeutic to them or healing in some way, then, that's just a bonus. I'm not trying to fix the world, but, some people do find comfort in, that's why there's group therapy and different groups of people that have experienced tragedy, and there's that, they can console each other, and you're not alone, and that kind of thing. So, if it provides something for them, then that's awesome.
I commend you 100% because just you and I talking about this just makes my heart heavy, hearing it. And I think for a lot of us in general, thinking back to our early days in life, metal was that outlet that helped us a lot, you know what I mean? And so this is kind of a double positive for us. It's a song that if you're feeling that way, get some help, and it's metal, and which is help for us.
Yeah, it's always been, whether you're a musician that plays it or writes it, or you're a listener and you enjoy the lyrics, or you like singing, or the feeling of the music, it is therapeutic, and it's sometimes been the only thing that I felt was my rock, or gave me some semblance of sanity.
One of those.
If I didn't have the outlet of music, I don't know.
For me, I get what you're saying. It's like there's certain things you feel like you don't have any control over, but the one thing you do have control over is metal. You can always jam the metal that gives you the inspiration.
Music changes your mood. If I listen to a song like Right Down the Line from Jerry Rafferty, it puts me in a certain place and time when I was young and growing up, and it's a bittersweet feeling for me. And then if I don't want to go there, and I'll put on a Slayer record, or I'll put on something that gives me that boost and like a support and like the power, and it's like and it can change your emotion and your feelings really quickly. in most cases.
Yeah.
You know, it's a powerful thing.
So I don't want to dwell on it, but I commend you for doing it, because I think it's a very important subject for everybody to be aware of.
Man.
So.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
So the project itself, I mean, did it come about basically due to lockdown?
It materialized faster because of it. You know, this is something I've talked about, God, for years. And, you know, Queensryche is always nonstop, you know, with writing and recording, and then we're playing shows, and then, you know, you fly home and you're home for 3 days and you're gone again.
Yeah.
It's hard to really sink your teeth into the material and get, you know, really invested in it. And when the whole we're flying home thing happened, and I realized this is probably going to be a while, I called Craig and I was like, well, the show's got canceled. Listen, dude, now is the time. If we don't take advantage of this right now, who knows when I'm ever going to finish this. So we just buckled down every single day, and we wrote and recorded the album in a 4-month period, and handed off all the recordings to Zeus, and he did the mixing and mastering on it. And, you know, we were doing all the artwork and layout and getting everything together. So it was just, you know, balls to the wall.
Nice.
with this album. Meanwhile, you know, Queensryche's still working on stuff and whatnot, but, you know, it was a perfect time to really take advantage of for this album.
So I've listened to the album over and over, and the nice thing about it is you really can't pigeonhole it into a category of metal. It's just, you can just sense that it's all over the place, which is amazing. I mean, it's really amazing.
You know, it's all over the place, Eric, but it doesn't, even if you put the record on shuffle, which I've done, it still plays great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not like, you know, a song is contingent upon its order to really give it its strength. It's each song on its own, I think, is really cool. And there's a lot of different styles of metal on here, like classic metal and some current stuff. And even though it's, you know, there's a diversity, it still feels like a very continuous album, in my opinion. It doesn't feel like oh God, this is nothing like that. You know, there's still something sonically in there, and that doesn't make it feel like it's really all over the place, even though there is diversity.
Yeah. And for me, like, when I listen to it, if I had to compare it to one thing, I mean, by far, I would say, guitar-wise, vocal-wise, you know, it has a lot of Fight War of Words to me. I mean, that just, there's certain...
Great, yeah.
And Pretenders is one of those songs that I just go, yeah, he's having a duet with himself. What the hell?
You know, yeah. You know, I was always a huge fan of that first Fight record. And one of the things when Craig and I were writing, you know, I was like, we both said to each other, and we felt and agreed that, you know, there's a simplicity to that album. There's, you know, the guitars, there's not so many guitar layers, and where, you know, things are blurring into the next and bleeding, and like the riff is very present. Everything is crystal clear. It's not overly complex, and it's just good. It's just good metal, you know. And I've always loved that sound, and, you know, so that was something that I was like, I miss music like that. You don't really hear that anymore. Everything is overplayed. There's not enough space in the music, and everybody thinks you got to play a million notes or have a drum fill every time there's a gap in the music to make it sound cool. And you know, I think there's a certain there's a strength in reservation to pull back some of these things, and you can play fills and do things when they're appropriate, but you know, there's not overplaying on the record, but it's definitely got, you know, some chops in there. But Fight's a great band. Always loved that first album, particularly. You know, but
so I mean,
good observation. You're not the first to say it.
Yeah, I know I'm not. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people have said that, but when people make those comparisons, I'm sure that at this point, being in Queensryche, you're okay with somebody saying that's that sounds like this, or you sound like this.
Sure. Yeah, look, if somebody says, oh, he sounds like Rob Halford here. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's like
thank you.
Man, this guy golfs like Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever, man. Like, I have a lot of different, I'm not a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
I can do many things with my voice, and this is a great outlet for me to show those different styles and have fun. And that's all it was about, was just, I just want to have fun and do the stuff that I like. And this song calls for a raspy, high thing, and that's what I'm going to do. And this calls for something clean, like I would do in Queensryche, and that's what I'm going to do here. So, whatever the music makes me feel like is how I approach it.
I think for me, I like when I explain it to somebody else, or I'm writing a review. If I say it sounds like Fight, that's a good way to somebody that may have never heard of you to go, oh, if it sounds like Fight, I love Fight, so let's check that shit out.
Sure.
And
yeah. I mean, I love Fight, Testament, Overkill, Old Pantera, Dio, Maiden, there's a ton of influences from across that spectrum to even the bonus track One by One, which is, pretty much full gutturals and more of the melodic death, that I like. And so, it's good. It's definitely a curveball for a lot of people if they're expecting to hear, that constant clean Queensryche delivery. This is not that.
Yeah, so and then one of the songs I really love, Critical Cynic. It's a great song. What was the inspiration behind that song?
Yeah, so that song was written in about 2 or 3 days. I called Craig and I was like, "Hey, I'm kind of feeling," because you're listening to the songs and you're I want a song that grooves like this, and different patterns. And so I said, I want something that's like, give me something in that vibe. So he came up with that stuff, and then the lyrics to it, this was all during the whole pandemic stupid thing that came out. And I was so irritated that people, everybody's an expert now, and they think that they Googled and read something that now they can actually contest the real experts. And so that song was about the science deniers and just that whole topic. That's what it was written about, and it's pretty nuts. I mean, my wife is a scientist, and people that have spent years and years and years in laboratories and going over evidence and analysis of things, and then you have somebody going, oh, that's not true. I mean, look at what this guy said. You're like, but that guy's he's a gastroenterologist. He's not a virologist or an epidemiologist. Like, what method, we always say, what method of assessment do you have to refute what you're refuting? And what would you do with you wouldn't even understand the evidence or the parameters. How, what ground do you have to even deny such things? And so that song was written about kind of my frustration with people thinking they're an expert on topics that they don't know jack shit about.
Yeah, the people that say the people that got their degree from Facebook University. Yeah, those people. I know who you're talking about.
Right.
So the album has 10 tracks, but then you added 3 bonus tracks on it. What was the thinking behind that? Was that always your intention to have like 3 bonus tracks?
Well, I was we were gonna do a bonus track for some different territories, and then sometimes there's exclusivity, and you don't get. People can't hear. Like, for example, we've done bonus tracks for Japan with Queensryche, and there's songs like you can't find them online. They're on a 7-inch vinyl. People haven't been able to transfer that digitally, yada yada. And I said, I don't want to limit the audience that can hear a particular song. And so at the very end, we just decided, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're just going to put it all out there. You know, here's the 10 songs on the main record. Here's 3 extra songs as just some extra goodies. And, you know, if you like them, great, you know, whatever. But we just decided we're just going to put everything out for everybody without any exclusivity or, you know, anything like that.
Nice. It kind of reminds me of, I mean, we were on the topic of Fight, and you get to that last song, The Reality, A New Beginning, and then all of a sudden you think the album's over, and the next thing you know, it's into Jesus Saves.
And I think it went to, like, on that record, didn't it go to, like, track 99? You had to let it go through the numbers, and then it would play a secret song.
Yeah, and it was that Jesus Saves song.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, it was just kind of like, you know, Apology ends the main record, and then what are the bonus tracks now? Those originally were going to be, you know, I think Japan, one for the U.S., I think Set It Off was going to be a U.S. exclusive track, and then One by One would be for Europe. And then, like I say, we just decided, we're just going to... I want everybody to hear all of them.
Yeah. And I like the idea of a bonus track. It just kind of makes me feel like I'm getting something extra. You know what I mean? And
you are.
I like that. I like that.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's no plans, obviously, in the near future of you taking this out on the road. What's going on?
Not in the near future. Yeah.
What Queensryche? I saw you guys are recording some stuff, correct?
Yeah, I you know, songwriting ideas. Yeah. And once touring opens back up, you know, I'll be full bore with Queensryche, you know, touring. And then if there's some pockets of time where we don't have anything booked and there's an opportunity where I could go play a show on my own stuff or do a few shows or, you know, whatever, then, you know, it would be awesome to assemble a band, you know, because Craig and I did the whole thing, just the two of us. So I would get a drummer, a bassist, and another probably another guitarist, so that they could accompany Craig with rhythms, and you know, while he's soloing, they can keep the rhythms going and whatnot. Nice. But one day I'll get to do some of this stuff live. I think
a perfect outlet for this would be like on those cruises, like where you're on a cruise with Queensryche, and then one night you get to do some of your solo stuff.
You know, if the band that I had assembled was on the boat.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, who knows?
Well, we're running out of time, but I just have one more question for you.
Sure.
I want to ask you, I've been asking this for the last year, unfortunately, but tell me a song by title or by content that of yours or your Queensryche that you've recorded, or any other album that best describes the state of the world as we know it today.
Oh, the world. This best describes the world.
Yeah.
Probably the song "Condition Human."
Okay.
From Queensryche.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that kind of encompasses. It's still pertinent.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it still surrounds the you know, a global topic. You know, something that's not just relating to the United States, for example. Yeah.
Well, Todd, I appreciate your time, and this is an amazing album, man. And everybody go pick it up. It's out on next week on Rat Pack Records. So, yeah. Thanks so much. And we have a video coming out in 30 minutes for the song "Crossroads to Insanity." Nice. So that'll be up at in about a half hour from when we're doing this. I'll link this to the interview. So I'll link that to the interview.
Yeah, cool. So that's I appreciate your time and interest, and I'm glad that you like the record.
Love the record.
And
love the record.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, and we'll chat soon. I hope to see you on the road soon. So
cool.
All right.
Sounds great. Kay. All right, bud. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye.